Hi again, it's Sylvia at Taylor Sewing Center in Brockville, and I did tell people I was going to do a video on using the Stripology ruler. The Stripology is from Creative Grids, and it's created by a very intelligent woman in Iceland who came up with this idea of cutting strips of the same width in multiple sections. So this is what the ruler looks like. Kind of hard to see on the lines, but you've got increments of 1/2 inch. Shall I pull it back, page? 1/2 inch along here and along the top. You've got a little teardrop where you plunge your rotary cutter in and slice. So the XL, which is the one that I use, is for regular width fabric, which you will, this is a half width, but a regular width fabric would be folded double, and you'll have to fold it again to fit under the ruler. So if we pretend this is a full width, this is one I need to cut for a project that I'm working on. And when you fold it in half again, you need to ensure that your edges, your salvage edges, are straight, and then the folded edge that you're bringing up is also straight. So otherwise you'll get elbows in your strips. That little annoying thing where it'll go straight and then goes off at an angle. Those are your elbows. So this is a project I'm working on. I need 1.5 inch strips. So I will put it under my ruler, and if this edge is straight, then this edge is straight. And you will line up one of the grid lines of the Stripology ruler with the fold of your fabric. Now I'm going to move it over. This is my 0 line here. So I want, if this edge isn't cut straight, then that will straighten out that edge. But you line up a grid line of the Stripology, and it's straight across there, and just to check, you go to the top, and that is straight along another grid line. So for my project, I need 1.5 inch strips, and along the edge of the Stripology ruler there are little symbols at different increments. So you have your inch increment is just the number. The next one is the 2.5 inch strip, which you would use for your binding or some borders. So it's a block that marks the 2.5 inch increment. So you've got 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10. The star increment is a 1.5 inch cut, which is what I'm going to use. So I will use the star for all of my cuts. Now you are able to do 1/4 inch increments. The information pamphlet that comes with the ruler has a chart as well. There is a chart on the website. She has a number of videos on how to use all her different rulers, and if you just Google Stripology in YouTube, you'll find a number of them. So right now I'm going to cut some 1.5 inch strips, and I start with the 0, and that's going to straighten up my first edge. And I have a new blade in the cutter. I put a new one in, Paige. It's got the date on it. Everyone's going to thank me. And you just slide it along. So 1.5 star. And I count in my head. 1.5, 3, 4.5. My husband says, don't talk to yourself so loud. 6, 7.5, and 9. So that's all I'm going to get out of this. If I had a long piece of fabric and my increments ended up at 21, say I was doing 1.5, so I'd end up at 21. The very edge of the ruler is your 21. So you can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 1.5 inch strips, and you're not moving anything. You don't have to move your ruler, take a piece away, move your ruler, or what some people do is they cut their 6 and then they move back and move back, but it just takes one slip of the ruler and it'll throw everything out. This stays in place. It also has a grid for squaring up blocks, and if you have a block that has a lot of seams in it, or a pinwheel in the center, and that center seam is really thick, because of the slits in the ruler, it kind of separates, but it molds around the lump and it doesn't spin. If you've tried to square up something with a pinwheel with a 6-inch square, you'll find it spins, or I find it spins, because I'm holding things so tight. But this, you would center your diagonal, cut your 2 sides, lift the ruler, turn it, and trim your 2 sides again. Very efficient when you're cutting sashing. The group that are doing the au naturel, I suggested they use this to cut their sashing. And borders when you're cutting, or binding when you're cutting 8, 9, 10 strips of the same width. As I said, I apologize, I can't remember oh, there's her name, Gudrid Erla. She's from Iceland, and she has a number of books and rulers that go with the patterns in her book, but it's a time saver when you're cutting multiple strips. So look it up. We have 2 in stock. Take a look.